Woodside bids to buy out Oil Search Limited. PNG opens fisheries industry to Pacific. And Lands Minister says legal process followed in Ella Beach land lease.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
This is Tuesday's news. Good evening and thanks for joining me again. Australian energy company Woodside has today formally put forward a proposal to acquire Oil Search Limited. The offer, announced to both the Australian Stock Exchange and Port Moresby Stock Exchange today, is subject to certain conditions. One being that Woodside's bid be supported by the government of Papua New Guinea.
This morning, Woodside confirmed that it provided Oil Search Limited a confidential and non-binding proposal to merge through a scheme of arrangement under the Papua New Guinea Companies Act. In a statement released to the Australian Stock Exchange, the ASX, Woodside further stated that it is currently engaged in discussions with Oil Search and there is no certainty that these discussions will result in a transaction. The offer put forward by Woodside is subject to the following: completion by Woodside of satisfactory due diligence on Oil Search, execution of a mutually acceptable confidentiality agreement, Oil Search granting an agreed period of exclusivity, Oil Search obtaining support from key stakeholders and shareholders, and Woodside being satisfied that the transaction is likely to be supported by the PNG government on acceptable terms. Today, Oil Search Limited also informed both the ASX and POMSOX about Woodside's proposal, adding that its board intends to review the proposal and will update its shareholders and the market in due course. In its statement, Oil Search highlighted its strengths, saying it has a material equity position in the world-class PNG LNG project and attractive low-cost LNG development opportunities, including the PNG LNG Train 3 expansion and the Papua LNG project, which provides substantive scope for capital growth and positions the company to capitalize from a recovery in the world oil prices. Oil Search has emphasized that there is no guarantee that a binding proposal can be agreed between the parties at this stage, but adds that its shareholders are entitled to an offer which adequately reflects the company's value potential. Mary Botulo, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea and the Federated States of Micronesia have signed an amended treaty concerning maritime boundaries and cooperation on related matters. The PNG-FSM Maritime Border Agreement was originally signed in 1991 after a joint field survey conducted by joint technical teams from both countries. However, there were certain areas identified in the annex to the treaty. Those areas were rectified yesterday with the signing of the Treaty on Maritime Boundaries.
Both the Prime Minister of PNG, Peter O'Neill, and the President of the Federated States of Micronesia, Peter Christian, expressed eagerness to work together following the signing of the treaty. Mr. O'Neill said the rectification of the bilateral treaty will further enhance joint fisheries cooperation between both countries.
I'm glad that we are able to sign this treaty today, marking a new era of the relationship between our two countries.
Technology available at the time of the treaty was limited. There was lack of access to data such as satellite imagery and coastal data techniques. One change agreed to was the intersection line of PNG's exclusive economic zone with FSM's exclusive economic zone. President Christian thanked those involved in all the technical assistance.
But such advancement would not be useful if there were no people and there were no organizations to help support the accomplishment of such delineations between two countries.
Mr. O'Neill said this development will widen the scope of the formal bilateral relations between PNG and FSM as both countries work towards strengthening connections to enhance Pacific regionalism. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea has opened doors to neighbouring Pacific Island countries to participate in its fisheries industry. Whilst addressing the media at the 46th Pacific Islands Forum yesterday, Fisheries and Marine Resources Minister Mao Zemming says the country aims to help small island states through Pacific regionalism and economic enhancements.
Seen as the fisheries leader of the Pacific, Fisheries and Marine Resources Minister Mao Zemming said PNG has a long way to go in developing its tuna industry. However, its shores are open to neighboring countries who are unable to set up tuna factories in their respective states.
We want to maximize benefits, which we also want to see the Pacific nations to do that, but there is a long way to go. That we do have canneries here, but unfortunately, there's a long way. We need to do more in terms of equity participation and the spin-offs.
The minister said PNG is mindful of the special needs of the smaller island states of the Pacific, especially those that have limited capacity in natural resources and goods to trade. He said it is important for the region to continue to stand united and be supportive of each other through the principles of cooperation.
We want to also help the small island states if they are able to see the way we're seeing that if they are not able to set tuna factories, canneries in their part of the countries, then we welcome them to come and set it up in PNG so that we have those interactions and both or how many countries, whoever gets into those agreements will benefit, but we want to maximize the benefits.
According to National Fisheries Authority statistics, tuna is the largest fishery in PNG. The catch from PNG waters accounts for 30% of the regional catch and is about 10% of the global catch. While tuna products are exported in various forms to Asia, Europe, United States and Australia, more than 10,000 metric tons of canned tuna is consumed locally per year. In 2013, PNG's tuna export value was estimated at 200 million, a 100% increase from 100 million in 1999. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
Pacific Island Forum leaders are being urged to take concrete action on improving maternal, newborn and child health, or MNCH, throughout the Pacific region. World Vision Pacific Timor-Leste made this call to the leaders to commission a roadmap for MNCH.
Maternal, newborn and child health is one of the many health challenges facing women throughout the Pacific region. Though not included in priority areas of discussion in this year's forum, World Vision Pacific Timor-Leste are calling on Pacific Island Forum leaders to make it a priority.
At the moment, they've identified 5 priorities for regionalism. One of them is cervical cancer, which is a very important issue, but we as civil society are asking that they expand that priority area to also include maternal mortality and child health.
While acknowledging the efforts of governments throughout the region in addressing this issue, Policy and Advocacy Manager Nancy Whites stressed the need for a more regional approach. She says a roadmap for MNCH is a way forward. This would allow Pacific Island countries to learn from each other in dealing with MNCH.
So we're hoping they'll put that high on their agenda and that they will implement a roadmap for maternal, newborn and child health that will help end the preventable deaths of mothers and children.
World Vision, through its various programs throughout the Pacific, is working on improving the well-being of mothers and their children, but they say more must be done to reduce the number of maternal and child mortality rates.
Maternal and child health really being an issue which is not adequately addressed. And to leave it out of the agenda from the Pacific Island Forums would be wrong. We believe that with preventable measures, we can save so many more lives. We can make the lives of women so much better while giving birth and while being pregnant. So,
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Well, National EMTV News continues with the day's other top stories. That's coming up after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The mother of a 5-year-old girl who was raped by 2 adult men, said to be in their mid-30s, is now appealing to the Madang public to help provide information. One of the 2 suspects has been apprehended by police and is in police custody, while the other is still at large.
The little girl was abducted by 2 men in their mid-30s from a home at Balasiko around the Newtown area.
Dili meraya tem toko sem. Mane suti milo tikti kem kuki milo faya em lakati milo nai pem toko sem. No ka kai lo bel tu This la all day go in a narapla next day kene anoka kaikelo bel nem pili weeks tre.
The toddler was taken to the Simbu Lodge at Sisiak by the men who kept her for 2 days. She was picked up by the lodge owners who realized suspicious movements and brought her to the hospital for treatment.
All no operate mem all sama pi mem ta solo clean mem no tem big plakat straight no sama pi mem. Em sama pi mem trangue merem no kai kai. Mi wante papa ble mitla no kai kai, mitla no silip. Sa pigininnya em lewa na mitla cry uga taman merin sat lo block em mitla cry.
One of the suspects is said to have already been apprehended and is currently in police custody, with the other still on the run.
So now me I feel go lo mogeta ol mama la country dama swas good lo piginini na. Ol piginini meriem. Now we know good plat time. Now when me pilim straight to sem piginini blome am going to legislate navy and big plus something through.
The provincial police commander, Sylvester Callout, in support of the victim's mother, is calling on the Madang public to assist police with information of the suspects. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
Well, today marks the International Literacy Day. With Papua New Guinea's high illiteracy rates, much attention is needed not only in the formal education sector, but in other areas as well, according to the Director of National Literacy Awareness. Illiteracy remains high in many communities. This includes prisons around the country.
Today is the International Literacy Day. For those of us who are able to read and write, we often take these skills for granted. But for many people out there who are not able to read and write, living in a changing world can be a big challenge. This is a class made up of students with different backgrounds and ages, but they have one thing in common. They're all determined to learn how to read and write here at the Anglicare Adult Literacy Program.
Yeah, we just encourage them and motivate them.
Nugod mi galaw sig na mi no sabe time all give marasin tu by me. Come over do simol pigini blom mi tu suppose mi no sabe lo read na right na how by me reading sa instruction lo give him marasin lo pigini tu.
Papua New Guinea has a high illiteracy rate, which affects all levels of society, as well as those in prison.
Literacy is a problem. As we in Bomana, we have a mixed bag of people here. We have a problem in literacy in terms of knowing the exact dates of release or such little basic things they need to know to fill the names, the age, or what. Majority of the inmates here are detainees are below that level of literacy.
Prisoners only like reading all constitutional rights, all. Emi only find him hard. Now only hard law. Looking one of something lawyer writing all. Display make him na time. Plandi only no savelo is la read no right no only go stand up lo court house to only Paul by only working one him kind talk.
But there are other inmates who are literate like John, who spend time teaching other inmates to read and write. But this is not easy.
Sometimes we select larami education na. Lustin tulo helping mol nar man na mi kalabus tu kind thing usim sa kabat inselo mi tok no at bamas helping mol bartan na sa kind thing.
Bomana Correctional Service has had several literacy programs conducted in the past to assist inmates.
And this is where I feel that the government and more so from the education department should also pay attention to the adult literacy programs.
Deborah Prentice, National EMTV News.
Lands Minister Benny Allen has shared his side of the story on how the piece of land at Ella Beach was acquired through a lease by the developer Awaks Holdings. Mr. Allen told the media today that there were no shortcuts, but due processes were followed. MTV's Fabian Hakelitz has more.
Lands Minister Benny Allen shared his side of the story on the Ella Beach saga on an earlier comment by Mosby South MP Justin Tachenko.
This beach was never for sale. This beach is for the people to use for recreational purposes. I have documentation here that clearly shows that the land was titled to a private company for their own self-gain.
However, Mr. Allen told the conference the Mosby South MP misunderstood the lease that AWAX Holdings, a national-owned company, was to give a facelift to Ella Beach. The title is legal after granted in May this year, since expressing interest in 2009, and that is portion 2848.
Developer here, together with 6 other developers, they want to improve, give a facelift of the Ella Beach, and still preserve that as a recreation area or public purpose, whilst they put up their development. So they are not going to do away with Ella Beach. They are going to improve Ella Beach, give a facelift, and public will have access to that.
The lands minister said that Papua New Guineans must be given opportunities under the SME policy and enough of the spectator syndrome.
Our Holdings is a Papua New Guinean-owned company, 100%. And for us, as a government, we want to support our Papua New Guineans, whilst we also want to assist our foreign investment.
He called on Mr. Tachenko to discuss this matter on a round table rather than solving it with the Prime Minister.
Whose interest is he pursuing? Stop running to PM. I'm challenging him. Stop running to PM. The appropriate forums that he should bring to address this.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Lands Minister Benny Allen expressed disappointment in the manner the Catholic Church building in Laluki outside Port Moresby was destroyed. Mr. Allen says that if the developer acquired that land title in the right way, it was only proper not to destroy the building because it was a place of worship. Investigations will continue.
For a developer to go and pull down a church like that, it's not the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do. You know, that building belongs to God, and it must be respected, and people must be consulted before anything can be done. But going out there and just knocking down as if it's just an ordinary dwelling house, you know, that's really bad. It's not the right thing to do. You know, God is God, and for us to respect God's house, you know, it's important.
And now let's check out the finance news. The Kina closed 15 points lower at $0.3550 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our Kina was trading at $0.3475 US, $0.4984 Australian dollars, $0.3075 euro, and 41.06 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold closed the day lower, while copper, coffee and cocoa closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed higher, while crude oil closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 272 points lower, the ASX closed at 9 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 10 points higher. Well, National EMTV News continues after these short messages. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. The Body of Christ, with 100 plus churches and organizations, have organized 5 days of worship at Unagi Oval leading up to Independence Day. This is an initiative by certain churches as a lead up to the 400-year-old King James Version Bible being placed in the Parliament's chamber. It is a move sanctioned by the Speaker of Parliament, Theo Zirinuo, however criticized by members of the Catholic Church.
On the morning of 16th September, they will march to the Parliament House from Unagi Oval with the 400-year-old King James Version Bible. It is planned that they will then hand over the Bible to the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, who will then hand it to the Speaker, who will place it in the chamber.
As you would know, that the Parliament has voted this particular Bible to be placed in the chamber of the Parliament on the 31st of July this year. Now the act is for the priest or the servants of the Lord to bring the Word of God and give it to the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, who will be at the Parliament House to receive it, and then give it to the Speaker of the House of the Parliament of Papua New Guinea, and then to be placed at the chamber of the our highest institution, the Parliament.
Reverend Arwa from the Church of the Nazarene said the purpose and the importance of the Bible being in the chamber had nothing to do with worshipping the Bible, but having God's word there during Parliament sessions.
We need to manage our affairs well, our resources well. And with the Bible in the Parliament, you know that Parliament House is where the decisions are made. And we want guidance. We want a direction. And the Bible in Parliament will always remind a member, as soon as a member is trying to, before a member makes a decision in the Parliament, there is a book there that brings awareness.
The march will also involve the Motokoita people, who will escort the and the body of Christ has made it quite clear that it is not a part of the 10 million kina budgeted for the city celebrations.
And so we have thrown our support behind the speaker in the last 2 years, because we believe what he has orchestrated is of God and it's good for Papua New Guinea and what we preach and what we believe in as well.
The churches have hired buses to drop off people attending the crusade from 12th to 16th, and also a helicopter that will fly the Bible around the city on the morning of the PNG's 40th independence. The city is encouraged to attend the crusade at Unagi Oval that will begin this Saturday. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National, EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Speaker Theo Zirino's move to have the Bible placed in the Parliament chamber has been criticised by Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare and members of the Catholic Church. In a recent media conference, the Grand Chief said the Bible must not be used as a political tool to reform the Parliament. He believes that the move to place the Bible in the Parliament and the removal of artefacts is wrong and goes against cultural heritage. President of the Catholic Professional Society, Paul Harricknen, says the Bible will not put a stop to corruption in the political system. Rather, it is the leaders who must make the change themselves. Eating healthy food is needed for a steady blood flow in the body system. This was the take-home message from the corporate blood drive team of Port Moresby. Steady blood flow is needed for digestion and healthy circulation that leads to good heart health.
Majority of the blood collected in Papua New Guinea comes from students in tertiary institutions, says corporate blood drive manager Anna Migera. And there's a need for more from employees in the corporate sector to donate blood to save lives. This is the third year since the program was introduced by the corporate blood drive team. Increase in blood donations from hundreds to thousands has been recorded.
Not only collect lots of blood through corporate blood drive, but we also deliver a very important message of health, a message of good eating and looking after themselves, because healthy, clean blood can also only come from healthy people.
ANZ Bank for the second time has come on board to support the blood drive program, donating 60,000 kina. Rather than concentrating on financial education, ANZ promotes good health.
This is about health, and it's important for us as a corporate that we actually not only just support what we can do in terms of the financial education to the community, but importantly what we can do around health as well. So this is the only major area where we actually you'll see us supporting the health sector.
The program will be called ANZ Corporate Blood Drive. But Moresby General Hospital Chief Executive Officer Grant Muddle thanked ANZ for supporting the health program.
It's not just a blood collection. We think we offer a good service. We do a basic health screening when they go and collect blood, hemoglobin, which is the iron levels in blood.
Take-home message for all of us: eat healthy food for healthy blood. Donate blood to save lives. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Milne Bay Province is beginning to stand out as Papua New Guinea's foremost tourism hotspot. The recent announcements of direct flights from Brisbane in the next 12 months has opened up opportunities for local tourism businesses to grow. At the same time, it is creating openings for Australian tourists to get visas on arrival when landing at Gurney Airport.
The move to establish direct flights out of Brisbane to Gurney Airport in October next year has put pressure on the local tourism office in Alatau to work within the 12 months period to prepare for the inflow of tourists into the province. With the 5-year tourism development plan near completion, the new strategies will have to incorporate local participation, set permanent annual dates for festivals, and organize historical sites for the visitors. But even with the limited manpower in the province, officer in charge of the tourism office, Samuel Luguna, says they will manage to get things organized within the time frame.
Direct flight this time around has given us a lot of challenge. Everyone is excited, gearing up, trying to get themselves organized.
Alatau has been a favorite hub for cruise ships recently. Its ideal location on the eastern tip of New Guinea, the World War II relics, historical sites, and unique marine species contributes to its tourism potential.
So I think Milne Bay is starting to get on the map a bit, but we need a lot of other local resorts to start up.
The national government has allocated 20 million kina to develop tourism and brings in direct flights out of Brisbane. But more importantly, Australians who have been restricted visa on arrival at the Jackson's International Airport in Port Moresby can have an access through Genie Airport. Apart from subsidizing the flights, giving visa on arrivals will enable influx of tourists and at the same time growing local small businesses.
This decision, just as an incentive for tourists from Australia into tourism zone, that's why it's a tourism zone initiative, they can get, Australians will now once again be able to get, because they were getting in the past, once again they'll be able to get visa on arrival, but only into Hagen and Gurney.
While Alatau prepares for the inaugural flight next year, the national government is hopeful this attempt will not cease as the previous Cairns Tokua flights. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
The Koitaki Highway in the Koyari LLG of Karikuhiri will see an upgrade that will connect thousands living along the Sogeri and Koyari ranges to Port Moresby. Funds of over 200,000 kina were presented yesterday by local MP Peter Isoaimo to a local contractor to see the highway upgraded.
Behind the steep cliffs and valleys of Sogeri is Koitaki, a vast fertile land that has a population of over 10,000. It is also home to settlers from Southern Highlands and Morobe province. People here mainly depend on this fertile land to grow crops and supply fresh food markets in Port Moresby. However, for the last 5 years, this road that plays a vital role in connecting them to services in Port Moresby has been left without government assistance. During heavy rains, the highway is impassable. It also affects other services like health, where many travel by road to Port Moresby General Hospital. Yesterday, the MP for Karikuhiri, Peter Isoaimo, paid a timely visit to Koitaki.
And I'm happy today to announce that we have paid to GJ Enterprises Limited some amount of 220,000 kina to re-gravel our road. But if there's any shortfalls and where we need to come in again, my government or my office is ready. We stand ready to help where we can.
Funding from the district's DSIP of 220,000 kina was put to re-gravel the highway to make traveling easier and safer. While Karikuhiri remains one of the biggest districts in the country, the MP again made known its intention to split up the district. This will allow for a more equal distribution of development funds between Kairuku and Hiri.
So it's a very difficult exercise, but together with our presidents and the DDA committee members, we prioritize projects and pay which ones are absolutely necessary for beneficiary to our people's living. So that's the situation we are caught in.
Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, thousands of migrants from Iraq and Syria have been welcomed in Germany after a heart-wrenching journey crossing a number of European countries. UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, estimates that over 336,000 refugees have entered Europe this year, with around 2,800 dying or disappearing during the journey. MTV's Alana Lay with this report.
Mayor Hans-Digger Petermann is positive that funding for refugees coming into Germany in the tens of thousands is possible with the right management and effort. This is especially due to the country's past experience with refugees.
I do not think that we should have integrated more people at the beginning of the 90s. Even then, we had the problems of asylum seekers, and on top of that, there was the big influx of Russian Germans. I think that it is doable. We can manage if we all try hard, and I do hope that the federal and regional government find the money for the councils they need.
A local warehouse has been turned into a shelter, housing migrants fresh from their war-torn countries, such as Adel from Mosul in northern Iraq, whose city has been occupied by ISIS. Over 20,000 migrants entered Germany over the weekend by foot, bus or train, but German Chancellor Angela Merkel also called the situation manageable. In Munich, hundreds of citizens welcomed some of these refugees with presents, candy and refreshments.
These are people on the run. There is a war. They are fearing for their lives. You can only feel compassionate for that. We help other people.
Chancellor Merkel, along with Vice-Chancellor Sigmar Gabriel, urged other European Union partners to agree on quotas for migrants flowing into Europe. Alana Lay, EMTV World News.
Well, we'll be back with True Guy Sports. That's coming up after this break. Details when we return. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. With the Youth Commonwealth Games opening ceremony at the weekend, competition has got underway. Team PNG athletes have been right in the midst of competition in their respective sports, and here is an update of PNG's performance so far.
PNG flag bearer and squash athlete Lynette Vai bowed out of competition in the quarterfinals when she was defeated by second-seeded New Zealander Eleanor Epke in a very close encounter. In boxing, Beupu Noki lost to Northern Ireland fighter James McGiven in the second round of competition, seeing him bow out of the games. But PNG still has one chance with Thaddeus Katoa, who is scheduled to fight later this evening. In the pools, Ryan Masklin grabbed the personal best during competition, and Savannah Chichanko has been swimming consistently, clocking very good times as well. Over in weightlifting, Douglas Mea finished 5th in the 56-kilogram weight category overall, and Bea Ovia finished 4th, just missing out on a podium finish. Also in tennis, Violet Apisa is through to the quarterfinals of competition, while Matt Stubbing suffered a defeat. Dion Kombang, National, EMTV Sports.
Meanwhile, Papua New Guinea sprinter Miriam Penny ran 3 fantastic times yesterday in the Youth Commonwealth Games in Samoa, qualifying for the finals. Miriam clocked a time of 12.38 seconds in the finals, finishing 6th place. Nigeria hard to beat, taking out the 1st and 2nd placings. MTV's Rafaela Kao reports.
16-year-old Miriam Penny made it through to the finals at the Youth Commonwealth Games in Apia, Samoa. A total of 28 athletes from the Youth Commonwealth entered the girls' 100 meters, with Penny placed third in her first heat, in which she ran a time of 12.53 seconds and was 4th in the semi-finals. Her time in the semi-finals, 12.40 seconds, was good enough to get her into the finals. Penny improved her time in the finals in a time of 12.38 seconds in the 6th placing. Nigerian girls came 1st and 2nd, Scotland 3rd, New Zealand 4th and Indian 5th. Penny will run the 200 meters to qualify for the semi-finals. Rafaela Kaure, National, EMTV Sports.
To Rugby League, the Lloyd Robson Oval will remain the home of rugby league in the country once reconstruction is complete. The Intercity Cup and minor leagues in Port Moresby will relocate their competitions to the Lloyd Robson Oval in 2016. The renovation of the venue is a joint partnership between the government and Oil Search Limited.
The events in last weekend's Intercity Cup Grand Final in Port Moresby has tarnished the reputation of rugby league in the country. It has also contributed to the reliability of the semi-professional competition in staging any finals matches in venues like the Sir John Guy Stadium.
Lloyd Robson Oval is the home of rugby league. That is the rugby league stadium of Papua New Guinea. It will host the PRL competitions, it will host the Digicel competitions, and any other rugby league competitions that it chooses to. And that's it. It's always been the home of rugby league, and that's what it's being built for.
Although the stadium can meet and cater for rugby league spectator numbers, crowd behaviour has been negative. Since its construction early last year, the Lloyd Robson Oval will remain as the home of rugby league in the country once complete.
It will be completed by the start of next year's season. It's about 80% complete now, the second stage, and we look forward to the official opening in the months ahead.
The renovation of the facility will cater for all rugby league competitions, including the Intercity Cup, Port Moresby Rugby League and other rugby league tournaments in Port Moresby.
Government project with oil search under a trustee. The trustee looks after this particular project, which is the trustee is Oil Search and PRL. So they are on the board, the PRL board members are on the board of the trustee with Oil Search because they're the ones that are funding it. And they'll manage it on behalf of PRL. This is to ensure that mistakes of the past never rear their ugly heads again. You saw how PRL Stadium was. Absolute disgrace and disaster. Totally mismanaged, totally, you couldn't even play a proper game there with all the facilities falling down around you.
It will also be the home of both Port Moresby franchises, the Port Moresby Vipers and Gulf Isapayas from the 2016 season. Skola Sengi, National EMTV Sports.
Well, True Guy Sports continues after the break. Details when we return. Stay tuned.
True Guy Sports.
Good to have you back with True Guy Sports. The 2015 Intercity Cup Grand Final highlighted lack of security procedures and measures in place for hosting sporting events at the Sir John Guy Stadium. On Saturday, spectators were seen consuming alcohol within the grandstands and carrying alcohol into the venue. Minister for Sports, Justin Chichenko, has given his assurance that the PNG Sports Foundation will step up in improving security.
Player and official welfare was not the only issue cited from Saturday's match between the Agmark Couriers and TNA Lions in Port Moresby at the Sir John Guy Stadium. The consumption of alcohol by spectators was a growing concern for many who turned up to support the game in good spirit. While all venues in Port Moresby have a strict no alcohol policy, Minister for Sports Justin Chichenko confirmed the incidences, including spectators and alcohol, and further added it will be addressed and serious security protocols will be in order for the hosting of sporting events at these venues.
It seems that the checking was not done properly and individuals slipped through with alcohol or being intoxicated.
Chichenko said this was a matter the PNG Sports Foundation needed to address as all venues now fall under the National Sports Trustee Limited.
This is something that we have to get on top of immediately. And that's very, very important. We have the PMs13s coming up at the end of this month, and we must make sure that the mistakes from the past are not repeated again. So we will be sitting down and going through all these issues and ensuring that the security is much tighter, the ticketing is done properly, and also these issues never raise their ugly head again.
Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Preparations for the National Netball Championships in Alatau are progressing on schedule. Alatau MP Charles Abel says new facilities will be built to improve sports in the province.
The National Netball Championship will be staged in Alatau after the Independence Weekend. This will be followed by the Southern Region Volleyball Championships. Preparations and construction of the netball and volleyball courts are underway.
Straight after the National Championships, I've got a big shed coming. It's like an aircraft hangar shed. It will cover like this. So basically there'll be one undercover basketball and netball court with lights, dome, yeah, because it's so wet here.
The Alice Wadiga Oval is now reshaped, upgraded and reconstructed to host future tournaments. A mini stadium with a seating capacity of approximately 400 people is under construction. DSIP funds of 600,000 kina were used to reconstruct the netball and volleyball courts. Abel said improving sporting infrastructure in the province, LLGs and villages are vital for national development as outlined in the recently launched Medium-Term Development Plan 2.
So we have the facilities in Moresby. We need all our provincial facilities fixed up, and then we need the local level government. And when you go down to the village too, there's at least some netball posts are there, soccer post is there, a bit of field.
Quintan Alomp, National EMTV Sports.
Well, that's how we wrap up True Guy Sports tonight, but stay tuned. We'll bring you all your weather details after this break. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports. True Guy Sports.
Taking a quick look at the weather forecast for the next 12 hours in southern region, Port Moresby to look forward to cloudy weather with possible showers inland and evening thunderstorms. In Momase, few showers at times expected in Madang, showers in Ley City. In the New Guinea Islands, few squally showers expected at times in Lorengau. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres mostly fine tonight, then morning fog with chances of few showers tomorrow. Now, before we go, as always, a quick recap at the headlines tonight. Australian company bids to buy out Oil Search Limited. Also, PNG opens fisheries industry to Pacific. And Lands Minister says legal processes were followed in Ella Beach land lease. And that wraps up the bulletin tonight. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. As always, thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.